Guys, just a quick video on the Oppo Find X3 Neo. I wanted to do this last time I had one, and I never got the chance. I will be doing a video comparing this to the Oppo Find X3 Pro. It may be a bit late for this video, and most people are probably moving on from the Oppo Find X3 Pro or the Neo. But for those who are still looking, this is the Oppo Find X3 Neo. Okay, so a bit of a feedback on specs. This is Snapdragon 865, so the flagship from 2020. 12 gigs of RAM, 256 GB storage, 90Hz curved AMOLED display, 4,500 mAh battery, 6.55 inch display. So it's not quite the same size as the Pro. Gorilla Glass 5 front and back, although it has a nice matte texture on the back that feels super premium but also super grabby. This to me is one of the best non-flagship phones that you can buy. Now this is running at the middle tier aspects of the Oppo range. There's the Lite, the Neo, and then the Pro. This one has the same main sensor as the Pro, super snappy, super quick, and fantastic photos. The next camera it has is a 16 megapixel wide angle, which is really good in decent light, but in low light it's not great. It then has a macro camera and then a zoom camera. I think it's 2 times optical on this one. It has a dual flash, obviously, as standard. In all honesty, like I say, having used both of these phones, this one actually feels amazing to hold. It's super sort of light but sturdy. It's got a great display. It's very fast because it still has a Snapdragon 865. Lots of storage, great dual speakers. And again, the camera's fantastic on this phone. The only gripe I would have with this one, I think that's key to mention, is the fact that this black model, although looks really black on this picture here now, under most light looks blue. Also, like I said, there's quite a lot of noise in the wide angle camera at night time. The macro one's a bit shit, and zoom's fine. And there's no waterproofing. That's sort of like my only gripes with this device. If you can get one pretty cheap, and I picked this one up for about £200, this really is one of the best phones that you can get. It also has no wireless charging, which is a bit of a bummer. But it does have 65 watt charging in the box. And basically that means it charges from 0 to full in 28 minutes. You can charge it in 20 minutes, you can get 50%. So if you want to sort of nip out and you haven't got time to sort of charge it long, half the battery in 20 minutes. Also, another thing to mention is battery life on this phone is fantastic. I will show you some battery stats. So for example, we're on 60% at the moment. Okay, it's been off charge now for almost 16 hours straight. It's been used for 3 hours and 40 minutes screen on time, and there's still 60% left. So that basically tells me that I'm going to get around about two days battery, around about 8 hours screen on time, which I think is pretty good. But also I expected that with the Snapdragon 865. The Pro model gets around about 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time, so this one's a bit better for battery. And like I said, there's not many compromises with it. Speed-wise, it's still fantastic. It's a very fast phone. Cameras, like I say, cameras are really good, really snappy. Let down, like I say, slightly by the wide-angle camera when it's low light, but in general light, it's fantastic. One thing I did notice actually, when you go to video on, you can't video on the wide angle camera for some reason. I'm not sure if that's to do with the settings that I've chose. Let's put that down to 1080p. Yeah, you can't actually video on Change that down to 30. So now I can. So okay, so with the Pro model, because it has the same sensor on the regular and the wide. When you go to video on the Pro model, it automatically chooses the wide angle option, just to give you a better field of view. With this one, it won't do that because the wide angle one's nowhere near as good on it as the main sensor, so it just defaults to the main sensor, which also impacts then obviously your field of view. But you can switch to the wide angle one, but you got to be sure to, if you do switch to the wide angle one, you make sure you're in 1080p because it doesn't film 4K on the wide angle on this particular 16 megapixel sensor. But like I say, generally speaking, this is a fantastic phone, highly recommended, with very few negative points to raise on it, and for the right price, probably one of the best phones you can get.